Hello, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Tell George Live tonight on April 4th, 2020. I'm George Martinez, and I'm so excited to be with you tonight. You know, this platform that I've used for my campaign is really all about keeping us connected. The connectivities are what keep us safe, healthy, and strong. And during this time of COVID social distancing and physical distancing, I think it's really important that we stay connected and we continue to share information. This has been a particularly, let's say, difficult week for a lot of people. I began and like to begin this program with a moment of silence, a moment of reflection. So let me put a little bit of that music on pause, and I want to thank folks for once again joining us tonight for this installment. But go to our moment of silence and land acknowledgement. And I think it's this week I lost two friends, personal friends of mine who are from New York City, East Coast, and I have other friends who I'm tracking, who I know are sick, who are on the front lines and who are at risk of being sick, let alone us here in Anchorage. And I just want to thank everybody for stepping up to the plate and stepping away from each other, just for a little while physically, while we get this situation under control, and for staying connected online and for sharing information. There's lots of great information out there that people are sharing that I just wanted to pause for my friends and for others with a moment of silence. I also want to then now begin with a land acknowledgement and just recognize that I'm broadcasting from my garage on a piece of East Anchorage, in the lovely ranch home that we own, but it's underneath it, on ancestral native lands, home of the Denina Athabascan people, and I want to recognize that. And wherever you are, if you're tuning in tonight from Anchorage, just recognize in a form of a brief moment of a land acknowledgement that we are on ancestral lands, and the Denina Athabascans whose stewardship once was and remains today. Lots going on in the world. This program is also about connectivity and having a good time. So I want to bring in colleague, associate, friend. Hello, Jen.
Hey.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see your face, even from afar.
We got it from a distance. Now, before we go any further, Jen, I got my sticker on, right?
Yeah.
Just reminding people that Tuesday is the last day to vote in the municipal election for 2020. Now, I'm not on the ballot this year, but there are other important things on the ballot. And I encourage people to go vote. Have you done that?
We are heading out Monday. We have our ballots. We're going to get them in the mail. We're good to go.
Right on. I'm going to see my wife at the Dropbox.
Oh, fantastic.
And we'll put the Dropbox information up later on the screen so people can know how to get in touch with us. But, Jen, this week, a lot of people reached out to me because I had a couple of friends die and from illnesses this week. And the suspicion is that one was lung related and the other one was an underlying precondition. So we're putting all of that together. And, but people reached out and there was a strong relationship to just staying connected. Right. And I appreciate that because it's about coping sometimes and about how when we need help. And, I'm a resilient fellow, but it felt good to know that people did reach out and care. Let's talk a little bit about coping, Jen, and
Sure.
How people need to handle things and what people should be thinking about.
Sure. And I think, everybody copes with things in different ways. And even though you are resilient, check in on your strong friends, those that you think have it all together, those that, maybe their Facebook life looks like the perfect life. That's not always the case. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors or when they get off the phone or when they're done posting. You don't really know how those people are really coping with life. And this is stressful for all of us. So I found this great, some information. I think these are great tips for anyone.
Awesome tips.
Yeah. So take breaks from the news. I know there's so much misinformation out there. There's just an overload of information, period. And wading through that and deciphering, what's true or not, what your friends might be telling you or posting. So it's kind of nice to set the phone down or step away from the TV and just take a break, take a few breaths, and realize there is life still happening, right? And when you're taking your break, you can take care of your body. It's so important, especially now. The hospitals really need to be cleared out for those that are dealing with COVID. And so if you can take care of your body, your teeth, anything that prevents you from needing to go to the hospital, I think is really important. And also for the mental, that mental care is so important as well. So
and let me add on to that, Jen. When you're taking a break from the news, a lot of the parents like myself who are working from home, right? The days between kind of working from home meld right into the night. And you really want to take a break from working from home too and get out and walk and stretch out and be with your family too. You really want to make some dedicated time to be intentional about it.
Yep. And if you're not putting in, that 9 to 3 for your kids' schooling, or you're not working from 8 to 5, that's okay. This is an unusual situation and we're all trying to make the best of it and utilize our time as best we can. And sometimes that means stepping away from what would be our normal routine. So, taking time to unwind. We've been doing a lot of family games at night to kind of separate from what's going on outside. Lots of arts, crafts, making music. The arts are really coming out as the true champion of this. Because if we didn't have music, if we didn't have dancing, if we didn't have, art to lean on, a lot of us mentally would be struggling even more than we already are in some cases.
I had Leah Maltby from the school district on our last town hall, and she was doing a project, and this is the photo. Right. Of beautiful. In her window, she was making a soap-based paint, really
Yeah.
cool, simple, so it could be washed off later on, working with kids. And I think that I also heard that there was a movement in Anchorage around like people painting rainbows in their windows, so as you drive by, you can
Yeah.
see them. And I like that. And
Yeah.
I think that we can do some things like that to continue to stay connected and just lift our spirits. So I think, the art is really important.
Well, and I think you've already been such a great champion of that with the trash cans around town. Being able to brighten up our city. Now it's coming into the homes. How can we
That's
brighten
right.
up our neighborhoods, brighten up our homes, so people are, seeing positivity out there in what seems like a very negative time and atmosphere.
That's right. That's right.
Another one, connecting with others. I think that's so important when we're in our homes, and it's, some of us aren't used to having maybe our significant others there all the time, or we're not used to having our kids there all the time, or, we're all in this space together. Sometimes it's nice to reach out to others as well, your friends, your family who you're not staying with, whether it's by phone or text or Zoom, or there's so many options now in ways to connect, but it is so important to let others know, hey, I'm still here. I
Right.
still got you. What do you need? How are you feeling? Asking those questions,
Right.
a simple text. Hey, how are you?
A wellness text, a wellness check. Absolutely. I've been doing that with friends, with different folks in the community, obviously supporters, but especially family a little more frequently, right? I think that's
Absolutely.
important.
This feels very overwhelming and lonely at
Right.
times.
Right.
Like it's us against the world, and really it's kind of the opposite. We're all one world right now, and we really need to find those connections. Like you've said, connections keep us healthy, they keep us safe. I think it's important to set goals and priorities during this time, and those can be small, they can be simple. Maybe it's just to wash your hair, or to get the dishes done, or to walk your dog, or to connect with someone, to do that text. But set some small goal so you don't feel like you're just biding time.
Right.
Letting time pass, because then it goes so much slower. And there's two sides to this coin. One, you don't necessarily need to go out and learn a new language or start a new business or anything like that. There's some of us out there. I mean, we're just go. And so this is hard to sit still and not do anything.
Absolutely.
But also recognize, give yourself a little grace and realize you don't have to do all that. But setting small goals, little things for you to do, little projects around the house that maybe you haven't gotten done, just little things, but set some goals and priorities. So you're not just sitting there biding time and it's just going so slow.
Right. Absolutely. That's an important one, because it goes back down to purpose. Right. And anytime we're moving with purpose, time, is feels better. I mean, obviously we feel the urgency of not having enough. But versus kind of feeling stuck.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I know so many people who are like, I just feel busier than I have ever felt. They've got maybe homeschooling, or, their job.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah. Or their job.
Right.
They're learning new ways to do their business. They're learning new ways to connect. They're learning. I mean, shoot, I got kid teaching me how to use TikTok. It's like there's all these things out there, learning how to do all these new things. And I feel very busy, and I feel blessed to be busy. I will say that. That's a privilege right there.
Absolutely.
And then lastly, focus on the facts. I think there's so much information that can be so overwhelming. And if you're not an expert in the medical field or science, or, you don't work in it, a lot of things that people are saying might sound scary, like calling COVID-19 a disease. People are like, what? A disease? I didn't know it was a disease. So just those terms sound really scary, but focusing on the facts that are given from reliable sources. We always talk about these reliable sources. CDC, the state, the Muni, information coming out of Providence or regional or ANMC. Focusing on those facts will help us stay focused on what we can or cannot control.
Right. And then there are common sense things. I mean, there are absolutely common sense things. And that, we should all be at that place. It's one of the reasons that I love our city, and I know we will rebound and we will reset, is because the way we take this kind of stuff seriously, because it's part of our preparation, emergency preparedness culture to think how can we respond effectively during a time of crisis. And so I really want to celebrate everybody because they're doing their part in Anchorage. People are really social distancing. You went out on a trail and saw that, right?
Yeah. We went to Earthquake Park today. You know, we've been inside a lot, you know, getting out for small walks here and there.
Right.
But we really wanted to get out, stretch our feet, breathe some fresh air. And we went to Earthquake Park, and people were doing a great job of social distancing, you know, letting people have their space, but still enjoying it. We saw tons of people out bike riding, you know, getting their masks on now. And I know we've got Allie joining us a little bit later.
Right.
Yeah. So she can talk a little bit more about, you know, what the shift in that ideal. But getting out there, it's still possible. And yes, kudos to the whole state of Alaska, because we saw what was happening. Right. People made decisions, and we are the last state in cases right now. And that's last is first right now. So it's a great place to be.
We have been last on a lot of negative barometers for a long time. Let's stay here with this and really just demonstrate that. I mean, hopefully we have a more aware culture of public health, the need and the infrastructure that we should have at the state level, and how that affects local levels as well. After this, but definitely that part of our preparedness culture is to now want to clamp down and really take the lead on that. I think is kudos to us. And on that front, there are a lot of people doing stuff in the community. And let's bring in a friend of Anchorage, a friend of mine, and hello, Allie.
Hey, how are you?
We're doing really great. Have you guys met yet? Jen, ever had a chance to meet?
Not face to face, but you know, I'm active in the mask maker group. I'm checking it out, so I recognize you, but we have not formally met. No.
Cool, nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Awesome, and I have the privilege of having had the opportunity of recruiting Allie to the Youth Commission for the municipality of Anchorage. And she's incredibly smart. But one of the reasons that really was exciting about her was that she was very socially active and focused on positive influence, positive change in our community. And Allie, so thank you for joining us tonight, being a part of a conversation in our town hall tonight. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Yeah, I loved hearing Jen speak. That was just so good and grounding to hear, and it was kind of that release that I needed to hear. You know, just relax, don't do the most.
Exactly. Well, you've been pretty busy. Can you share with us a little bit more about the? We want to talk about this. Jen just made that transition, talked about the way people are doing stuff, and even recognizing the social distancing and taking it serious. And you stepped with a lot of other people into some void and started really connecting people through social media and mask making. Can you talk a little bit about what's going on and with us?
Yeah, of course. I'm very happy to talk about it. So I am one of the admins in a group called Alaska Mask Makers here. We have quite a bit of members now, and we are a group that helps organize and just kind of get together the volunteers here in the community, because everyone wants to do something, and they just need a little bit of direction and some support in doing so. So pretty early on, we were just getting ahead of the curve and trying to meet those needs for homemade masks. We had seen just the global shortage of PPE, the national shortage. We've seen hospitals reaching out for everyone to make them homemade masks. And we knew it was coming, so we wanted to just get ahead on that. So we just got some.
Are you a mask maker?
Oh man, my sewing machine's right here next to me, and I just longingly look at it. I mean, I could be, but a little tied up now.
I think that's important for people to recognize. Like you said, like people can get involved in any way, whatever they have to contribute, they can get involved. And right, you're looking at your sewing machine, and that's not where your strength is at this point. But you still brought what you had, right?
Yeah, and I'm looking for photographers to send in photos right now, because I use them as the background for our flyers. Brings me a lot of joy being able to see those when I'm making them.
How many people, can you tell us a little bit about the need that you found and the outcomes of what the group has been able to accomplish?
Yeah, so we have served 52 different organizations across Alaska so far. We take just rolling requests for any organization. We are serving folks who are the essential workers. So ultimately, these are folks who do not have the option to stay home, and we want to protect them because they're keeping us afloat. Yeah. So we have about like 3,500 members, something like
Wow.
that. We have 200 active sewing volunteers right now. Yeah, over 100 driving volunteers. It's big support from the community right now.
That is so amazing, and it certainly speaks to one of the things that I love about our city, and that I recognize when I focus on things like creative economy, that there are creatives and talented people that have all sorts of hats that they wear in the community, but those core passions or those core other talents and vocations still, they have them, and that if we could draw on them like regularly, right, how strong we are, and then in times of crisis to see them get activated is always phenomenal.
Yeah.
What is the we were talking about the types of masks. Can you share, like, do you have any to show us what they look like that folks
Yeah,
are
here,
using
I'll
on?
grab my mask real fast.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I've been experimenting with the paper towel as a filter, and I mean, there's a lot of different variations, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, and then playing with the kids with that, like what do they think it could be, and how do they want to design it? I think that's been fun.
Yes, absolutely. And we just posted some resources on no sew masks. So recently they have declared that everyone should be wearing a mask when they go out
Right.
in the community.
Right.
So people are very scared right now and need some masks to help them out with that. And there's so many easy ones that are fun crafts for the kids too. And yeah, so check out those resources. I'll link them to you. And here's my mask. My hands are clean, which is very important. It just came out of this little plastic bag, which I put it in when I'm not using it. And so it has a nose bridge piece here, and that's just for comfort for long uses. So I am one of the folks that even after coronavirus, I might be wearing a mask still. I'm an asthmatic, and so it's been pretty smoky lately here in Alaska.
Yes.
And it
yes.
goes over your face like this, covering the nose area around here, and then you tie it back.
That's a great one.
So, yeah, it's a kitty cat. My friend Ashley made it. She's one of our other admins.
Let's see if we can. Hold on. Can you hold that up? Let's see if we can see on the full screen. Kitty. Oh yeah, that's really cute.
Oh, my son would love that. That's adorable.
Yeah, that is adorable.
I love it.
That is adorable. And I mean, that's one of the ways that people can kind of just have fun with it. But you said something interesting that, like, let's think about that, because you represent we represent kind of multiple generations even on this conversation, and we're all, one of the things I talked to my son about this week as he saw some of the impact of what happened to my friends and my network in home was just how we're all impacted, no matter who we are and where we are, at the same time right now, right? And it's a unique opportunity to kind of be sharing an experience. But you said something about after the COVID moment, right? But culturally, in a lot of other places, this wearing masks is normal. How do you see that? What do you think we should be thinking about? Because I know public health has always been important to you. That was one of the issues that you brought to the Youth Commission.
Yeah, it's a big step forward right now, being able to normalize mask wearing. There are so many different situations and where this is very beneficial to communities and individuals within the community. Really exciting news that the Anchorage Assembly, the municipal clerks, and all of the municipality of Anchorage folks who are still working will be receiving masks soon. So they are going to be helping us in normalizing those efforts and making sure that folks are comfortable and that there's a culture around wearing masks, because it has been established that it is very helpful in many circumstances.
Right.
Well, and I think it's important to note, South Korea, that's where my relatives live. My mom, called up my auntie and she said a lot of the pharmacies have masks available. And for them, it's about protecting others. And really this whole push to wear masks, the masks may not prevent you from getting the virus, but what it is going to do is prevent you from spreading it. We've talked about before asymptomatic vectors. If you're not feeling sick, but you're carrying the virus, you can still spread it to others. So what that mask does is prevent, if you're coughing or sneezing, you from spreading it that 6 feet that we've been, told to stay away.
Right. I think that I saw a campaign from one of the an international campaign that just talked about the normalization of it, the culture of it. But they used pop stars, right, and they kind of put commercials to it as well. And it is weird versus kind of the way we think about just in America, but it is a trend that you see in countries where there's and there's a high reason for it. I think we should really take that serious. I think we could have fun with it, right? I'm definitely, and you all know me. I would be, I'm a handshaker and a hey, how you doing kind of person, and there's going to be a lot of air guitars and high fives, air fives.
Air fives, whatever you gotta do.
Air fives, yeah, absolutely. Allie, can you talk a little bit about what some of the, if you do know, with amongst your peers, especially the college students, can you share a little bit about where they are in their state of mind?
Yeah, I think it's a really disturbing time to be in college and have those academic pressures on you when you're also facing just such an uncertain time. So I know we're not having a good time, but we're really trying to make it through. In this college age, I think there's a lot that we have to offer our community right now. If you're young and healthy, you should absolutely, and living in a household where people are also healthy, you should absolutely be helping out your community, going to those mutual aid networks, doing whatever you can to just support one another.
Right. And I want to thank you, Allie, for stepping up again, for reaching out to the community, for doing the things that you do, and for really playing an important role, for playing your part, and for encouraging others. I also want to thank the community who reached out and who are supporting and who just said thank you. And Moira Smith, who is a part of the Humanities Forum, and so really good person, and others just who reached out to support you, and others like you in the community who are doing things who really a lot of your time has been occupied by the work that you're doing now to support the community. Oh yeah, we've got dogs in the house. So I just want to thank you again, Allie, and I just want to highlight that I've been able to utilize the program for anybody that's listening. If you have a question, you have a need or an interest, and we can help connect you to a resource. That's what I'm doing on this program, but I'm doing that all week long. And folks know that I got lots of calls from the broadcast, and I hope to continue to bring some of those needs to folks like you who are helping them get connected to resources so we can fulfill them. Allie, thank you for being with us tonight. Stay safe. And how can folks? You mentioned one thing, a website. Well, can you just give me that website again so I can post it for masks?
Yeah, we're on Facebook at Alaska Mask Makers, and if you're not on Facebook, we have volunteer sewing forms, so you can fill that out, and you're all set to go, and we'll send somebody to porch pickup or support you in whatever drop-off needs.
And we will share the volunteer sewing form. That's a Google form, yes?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Learned that at yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Allie, for being with us, and have a great rest of your night. What a great demonstration of what happens in Anchorage.
I love it. And we're seeing that happening all over, and businesses just stepping up in a big way, individuals stepping up in a big way.
Do you know John?
college.
You mentioned John to me. You mentioned John Schwartz to me,
Yeah,
correct?
yes.
So talk
I
a little
will
bit about
shout him from
Perfection.
the
Yeah, please
rooftops.
do that.
Absolutely. I will shout his name from the rooftop and his business because he has stepped up in such a big way. So my friend John Schwartz, Perfectionist Auto Sound, he took it upon himself. He's got the equipment. He went around town and bought every supply he possibly could and started making face shields. And if you're not familiar with what face shields are used for in healthcare, it's basically like a round circle, and then it's got a face mask. And what it does is protect the whole face from any of the droplets that are coming out as people cough or sneeze. And so he started.
Was that the name?
Found,
That's it, right? Perfectionist Auto and Sound.
Perfectionist Auto Sound. You take out the and.
Okay.
But he started making them. His goal is to make 1,000 of these face shields. He's got them. I know he's already given them to ANMC, Alaska Regional, Providence. And not just him, what he did is really led the way, and his whole industry got involved.
Nice.
And really, they're supplying all these face shields, and that's huge because we know that as people cough and sneeze into these healthcare providers, that's how they're catching it. And so if we can prevent that from happening and keep them safe, keep them moving so they can help others, it's so important. And so he has been, he's shown pictures of his hands just, with sore, calluses and broken skin. And he's in there every night making these masks. And so, find him if you are able to help donate to him, by all means help out if you can. Send him some dinner, whatever, because this man is working 24/7 and has inspired others as well to do so. And
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It's huge, what a great community leader. And it's not just from this, he's always been that way. Been that way.
And that's the nature of the blue collar entrepreneurial, we're in this together spirit that is so pervasive in our city. It's inspirational. Obviously, it's attractive to the people who want to live in a community like that.
Yeah. Oh, it's huge. My brother-in-law, 49 State Brewing Company, they're doing $5 Alaskans for Alaskan meals. So if you've been laid off, you're in some financial hardship, you can go pick up a $5 meal for lunch or dinner. Awesome. Other companies out there, I've seen Matanuska Brewing Company did a online concert where they raised money, and I think they raised over $20,000 to help the hospitality industry. Right. Everyone is stepping up in a way that they can help out. How can they help their neighbor? How can they help their friend? How can they help a certain industry? Because we're all struggling. We're all struggling right now.
That's right. And it's I saw a few businesses like Snow City and a couple others that are going to not be able to continue takeout service. So just thinking about the economic impact later on, it's something that I've been having lots of conversations with different economic advisors that I work with to think about the essentially what does the rebound package look like for Anchorage, or what is the economic reset, what is the rebound package and the Anchorage economic stimulus, but from a variety of ways. And I know next week I expect that we'll be able to have a group of local or another group of local organizers who are putting together I forget exactly the website, and I don't want to say it wrong, but I'll find it before the end of the evening. I think I got it in a text message. But essentially, it is a pool of resources to do that, to try to make sure that they can help fill the need of folks who have some need in the clutch. And there's a lot of people who are doing that. And that's really exciting. But then there's also, back to your point about the small businesses doing a great job. Let's talk about the economic impact, right? And so our next person, let's see if we have this thread coming through right with Jasmin Smith from the Business Boutique. Let's see, she's on mute. Hey, Jasmin.
Hey, can you hear me? Okay.
Can hear you.
Okay.
You sound great.
Jasmin.
I'm afraid to add my camera. I don't know if that's gonna make a difference. Should I add it?
You can go.
I'd love to see your face.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if it sounds jacked up, we'll just drop it.
All right, I don't know. My phone's kind of. Let me turn the lights on. Hi.
Hey.
It works.
Is it slow?
Hey!
No, you sound great, and but it may be slow.
Awesome.
We
Yay.
people know we may have technical difficulties. We're dealing with what we got. They want to drop that camera now. No,
Yes.
Cool. Hey, Jasmin.
Okay, there it is. Is it going slow?
Oh, it's got a slight lag to it, just
right.
a little bit. But I'm happy to see your face.
So, Jasmin,
Okay.
Okay. How are you, and how is your family?
We are hanging in there. I am the first one to admit it has.
Oh.
Did we get a pause? Is that? I think
Yeah.
we may. Jasmin.
We may have to go back to audio.
Yeah, may have be too much on the bandwidth. Jasmin, we're gonna give it a second, and there's if you notice, there's a lot of notifications on YouTube and other services that talk about the increased usage. And so I would only imagine that even our local cell towers and whatnot are at full capacity.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right, Jasmin, if you could hear us, come back in. Yeah. All right, she'll come back in, and we'll pull her up, and then we'll have this conversation of the economic impact on small businesses. Jasmin's from the Business Boutique, and she did a. Hold on. There you go. Hello. All right. Can folks hear? Can you hear that? Let's see. Let me pull this up.
Okay, let's just see if this works. I'm so sorry. My phone's like, not today.
All right, because Jen, did you hear that? How's that sound?
I can hear it.
All right, cool. So we'll do a little. I have a new thing on it. See, Jasmin Smith on the phone. We were prepared for that. So Jasmin, thank you for being with us. How are you and your family doing?
Well, yeah, like I was saying a little earlier, I'm the first to admit it has been a transition. It was definitely a little rough, but it's getting better every day, and I'm oddly getting used to this new normal, as they call it. So I'm taking it day by day.
Yes, I could imagine the new normal is growing on us. Absolutely, day by day. But you were involved in an event just yesterday with a couple other businesses with ACLT, the Municipality Office of Equal Opportunity, and can you talk a little bit about that? Because what we were just talking about was the impact on families, and then what businesses are doing to step up. And you work with a lot of businesses in the community, but now businesses are going to go through some difficult times, but there is some support for them. Can we talk a little bit about the economic impact on small businesses and what support is out there for them? You just did a workshop yesterday. Thank you for doing that. Share with us the state of the situation with respect to what you're hearing, and then also what support and how people can navigate some of the process.
For sure. So, right now, there is literally two worlds in terms of how the coronavirus is impacting people's finances and the economy. So we are all stuck at home, right? That's common across the board. But what I was saying to some partners recently in a meeting, it is imperative that we have a serious sense of urgency to help businesses, because some of us are blessed enough to be able to work from home, but you still have your finances coming in. Whereas there are some businesses like myself who had to get creative because now we are at home and we're told we can't operate our business. So there is an extreme impact, a huge sense of urgency, and what makes it interesting is this is the first time it's not limited to one neighborhood or one group. It's
right. It's everybody. Right.
Issues. So that's where the workshop came into place. As you guys know, I do a lot with businesses, and I said, there's a lot of people who still just don't know what resources are available, and the SBA has just unveiled 2 different funding streams. You know, one is the COVID-19 disaster loan, which is way easier than any SBA loan I've ever seen in my life, to include the $10,000 advance for businesses. And then they also unveiled a secondary loan called the PPP loan, which stands for Paycheck Protection.
Right.
So, you know, for us, it was very important to get them on the phone and to deliver this information step by step in a clear, easy, don't be afraid, don't be overwhelmed, and, you know, in addition to other small business resources, which we did yesterday, you know, so if anybody missed that call, we have a recording of it. We have links to the application, you know, people can apply. So our main thing right now is just letting businesses who might not frequent Facebook or might not have the luxury of switching their business or working from home, to let them know there is support.
Right.
And starting off with financial support to pray and hold you over until this goes, so you don't have to close and so you don't have to lay off workers. But the reality is, there has been some businesses who just said, I just have to shut down, I can't do this. And that's what we're trying to prevent.
Oh yeah, there's been a lot of businesses, and you know, there are some also opportunities. You know, we may not be necessarily doing them here yet, but part of the sectors and the industries that I think are important to recognize are the gig economy workers and the freelance workers and the micro entrepreneurs who are, you know, doing lots of contract work, especially in Anchorage. We have a lot of that kind of workforce, right, Jen? Right, exactly. And you know, and people, and you know, people like me, we tether. We go back and forth from an organization to, you know, contract work, right? So essentially, it is part of the culture here. But you know, there are some things that we could do in the future. But right now, you know, the need is right now to how to keep your doors open, or how to make sure that you can open your doors when we get back to normal.
Exactly.
How hard?
The thing too is like reminding people, it's just so scary right now. I get it. We kind of feel like we don't know what's happening, but like you guys have said, it's true. It's gonna end,
Right.
and we're gonna get through this. We have to, We have to have, you know, options now and see it through. But like I told some entrepreneurs, don't give up hope. It's not forever.
Right. And you know, and it is gonna be different. It's gonna be a different way that we organize, and that there's gonna be different ways that people move, but you know, if you back to service projects, I mean, my wife is a small business owner, and you know, in housekeeping, you know, that becomes, you know, like I mean, it's a hazard pay now, right? It becomes a whole other level of relationship. I mean, you know, even best practices around normal sort of stuff are going to change. They're going to augment. It's going to be a little more stringent. And but here's one thing, Jasmin. Let's talk a little bit about. I want to stay on the topic of the way people can find out more information, but I also want to talk about that idea of best practices. What do you see? I saw a post today on Facebook from a mutual friend. I don't know. You all know Derek Green, and it was a.
Oh, yes.
Okay, and so. Yeah, right. And so I just wanted to talk about, and Jen is our health expert, resident health expert. But I wanted to talk about the best practices that we will have to have moving forward for this reason. But how come people may be taking them lightly now? And the post was about a food handler who wasn't using gloves, right? And actually, you know, I've heard a few instances with respect to some businesses not necessarily being as stringent as they may need to be. Do you have any thoughts on that, and how do we approach that? What is your best remedy for confronting or dealing with businesses in that way?
Well, I mean, yeah. First and foremost, the no gloves. I experienced that too at a couple restaurants. It just baffled me. I'm like, whoa, we're in the middle of a pandemic.
Right.
Why do you not have gloves and face masks? And it's sad that I just was like, you know what? Like, there's so much information, and there people are so inundated with other stuff that I really believe some business owners just don't know, or in some reason in their mind they just don't see the seriousness of it. And I really think a good solution to that we've been talking about it on this task force that I'm on, is putting out like a unified message. Best practices in terms of, hey, if you're a restaurant and you're still open, you really should have everybody wearing gloves and handling literally anything, or you really should have a mask on. If for some reason you can't afford a mask, maybe we can help you get a mask or put resources towards that. So I do think there has to be more of a unified message from the bigger businesses and all those organizations that support businesses that say, hey, we're all in this together, and here are 10 tips that we just want to give you to maintain and operate in a healthy manner right now. And normally I'm pretty like live and let live when it comes to businesses and that kind of stuff and benefit of the doubt. But right now people are dying. We have low numbers of this virus. We want to keep it
that way.
Yes.
For businesses to comply, we have to have a unified message, I believe, and put that literature out to businesses and really find out, why aren't you complying? Is there something stopping you that we don't know about, or are you just choosing not to comply?
Yeah, I think that the question that folks are asking is important, and then for my disposition, I don't care about the answer. Comply.
Exactly.
Right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to comply, and people should know that up front. And there is no excuse. We just had Ali Stover from Alaska Mask Makers on. We have no shortage of people who are willing to service a need for people to give masks. If you have the ability to stay open, that's a privilege. If you have the ability to do takeout, that's a privilege. And we talked about that on our last program, where someone made that reference, and we wanted to highlight that. If you were doing deliveries pickup service rather, make sure you're using a PPE enough to just be a part of a good practice, a best practice, right? And just limit that transition at that moment. But I want to shout out all of those workers, because they're working, and a lot of people are working, and fast food restaurants, the drive-throughs, the lines are still going, and there's a lot of people who in the stores and the clerks, and so we want to make sure that they're safe. But yeah, if you have a food handling obligation, it is not negotiable.
Exactly. Yeah, no, the gloves, the mask, it's too much at risk, and normally. I'm very we'll see, but anytime I see that, I have to call it out. And maybe they don't want to hear it, but us as a community, we have to say something. It doesn't have to be in an angry or disrespectful way, but I did that with the restaurant. I called and I'm like, you have to know your people need to have a mask on, because they are putting money in people's hands. But I also think the beauty is the city and whoever wants to can also keep shouting out those businesses that are doing amazing.
That's right.
I've seen,
that's right.
And I just laugh because it brings out the underdogs. I was at Red Apple, and I'm like, oh my God, you're killing it. There's some other grocery stores that ain't doing this. Or when you're at Popeyes and they have gloves, mask on, and they put your food on a cart and they push it out to you, and they throw your your debit card in a little French fry bin, so there's no contact. So I think it's letting them know that expectation and saying you need to do this,
and thank them,
and then really shouting out the ones that are excelling. That's
right. And and even in a city like New York, where I'm tracking closely, I saw a great video the other day of the community and even other first responders clapping for ambulances and other first responders as they were going to do their work, right? And just recognizing that they're on the front line too. I'm happy that there was some measures taken to protect some of the bus drivers. I was a little concerned that I saw buses, not that they were running, but that I didn't see the proper equipment on the driver. And I think that's important, because that reminds me of that story in Detroit. I don't know if you all saw that, the viral video of the bus driver, but essentially, Jasmin, this is this other side of the conversation, right? There are businesses. So if the business is going to step up and do their thing, if the public servant is going to step up and be on that bus, right, like the bus driver in Detroit, then it goes back to what Jen, you were just talking about a few minutes ago, about the need for the culture of then do the right thing for the other people and wear your mask, right? And so,
oh yeah, absolutely,
yeah,
thinking outside of ourselves,
right? And a tragic story about that bus driver in Detroit who died days after filing a viral video about a passenger getting on and just being kind of open coughing and not respectful at all. And so it is serious. We're fortunate that we're in a city, like you said, we are in a state and a city that's very low. We want to keep it that way. But one means that there's the potential for 3 to get it, which means that it's somewhere in Anchorage, right, or somewhere in a few pockets, there are still some viruses living on some surfaces.
Sure, and I think I do want to touch on that a little bit, because I still hear people saying, like, this isn't really serious.
Hold on, Jasmin.
Oh,
we just can't afford to take any risk right now.
Yeah, go ahead, Jen. Jen was just. Hold on.
Well, I think I hear a lot of people still, kind of saying, why are we doing this? This is a hoax. This is, not a big deal. And we're very fortunate in Alaska that we're still trending behind where the lower 48 is at. So we're seeing these things unfold in, New York. I mean, it's a tragedy what's going on right there. And we're still behind that. So the fact that we don't have those cases or those personal stories, you're starting to have them. I know other people are starting to go, oh, well, my friend's grandpa, or it's getting closer and closer. And the more personal it gets, I think the more people that'll take it serious. But let's take it serious before it even gets personal, so that it doesn't get personal.
Right.
Let's all work to protect ourselves and each other before, it is someone close that passes.
This is all about like good practices as people, stewards of each other, a culture of caring, business practices that represent those values of customer concern and of public good, and because I also see, Jasmin, there's a lot of innovative opportunities for the way we could organize and support. And I also see a lot of equity questions being more exaggerated and exposed during a crisis time that are some avenues of growth for us.
Oh, I definitely agree with you there. This experience has been very telling in a lot of great ways. But yeah, I mean, some of the conversations and the distribution of resources and information that I've encountered, I'm like, wow, we've got to do something different here, because it's just not 100% equitable. And if we don't get on it now, it's gonna get worse.
That's right. And this is as we reset and we rebound, having learned the lesson of the nature of something that I think we all agree to, which is essentially there is no discrimination in where this hits. It's affected globally, royal families. It's affected members of the U.S. Senate and Congress. It's affected people from small businesses, personal lives, all across the board. And so when we think about the equity challenges now, those equity questions need to be part of a foundation of resiliency, because essentially that's going to keep us stronger when the next pandemic incident, ash cloud, forest fires, earthquakes, especially for us here in Alaska, when those things hit, the more equity we have built into our community and our design, the way we operate, and the culture of concern that we can activate to say we'll even care about each other's health, the more likely we are to be able to bounce back and be resilient from the jump street. Right.
Well, recognizing who do we consider essential right now?
Right. Jasmin, we want to say goodnight to you. Thank you for being with us. What is the best website that people can go to for information about the SBA stuff? Is it the SBA proper website, or is there a unique one that I can post right now on our broadcast?
First of all, thank you guys for having me. The best one is going to be SBA.gov. They have revamped the website, so as soon as you go there, the first thing it says is click here for COVD funding, and then it has both applications on that website.
So we got SBA.gov on the website.
The page is going to say click here for COVD funding. So if they get to SBA.gov, the first box is going to say click here to apply for funding. That's
awesome, because you did say they streamlined it to make it really easy. I know we got some great SBA team members here in Anchorage, and so I know that's good. But I'm excited that that people have some ways to navigate, because I also have expectations that there's going to be difficulties depending on the case by case basis.
And let people know as well, if if they need assistance, whether it's ESL, disability, paper application, any of that, SBA Anchorage has pledged to help in addition to Office of Equal Opportunity and Business Boutique as well. So if they have questions or challenges, we can help them. Also, the SBDC does a daily 2 p.m. conference call Zoom, I guess we're Zooming now, conference call to answer any questions, concerns, or needs people have applying.
That was the SBDC, the Small Business Development?
Yes, 2 p.m. every day they have a conference call. They can give you the information if somebody encounters a problem applying, but at least go to the website, give it a shot. I did it. It's on 2 pages. Like, I do a lot of SBA loans. It is super, super easy. They even ask for your bank account to direct deposit your money. So just fill it out as fast as you can.
That's now the SBDC's website is dot what?
I think it's sbdcak.org.
Okay. AK.org.
So SBA.gov to apply. And if you think you need help, sbdcak.org to get help.
SBDCAK.org to get help. And they're just a great resource anyway for people to know that if this is a moment that you get to know who they are because of this time, then that's a great thing, because SBDC is a phenomenal resource.
Absolutely.
Jasmin, thank you for being with us. God bless you and your family. Take care of of everybody, and keep doing the work you're doing. As obviously, I'm here to continue to be of service and support any way that we can.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
Jasmin.
you, Jasmin.
All right.
She is such a good example of another community leader who is just out there making connections, making a difference, supporting wherever she can. I just adore her.
Well, we're a leaderful city, right? We're a leaderful city. We got a community full of leaders, and that's why one of the reasons why we can bounce back so fast. We do have leaders willing to, and every leader in our city is not about the moving of masses and not about leading a crowd per se, right? Leadership in our Anchorage comes down to what you are willing to do for the greater good in your own actions. And
Yes.
that first wave of personal leadership, and that personal responsibility, the intention of working together, of not being a free rider, if you will. That's what it takes in our city, and we have a lot of that.
We do. I always believe, what can you do as an individual? And then, look inside yourself, and then look within your household. How can I make my household better, stronger than your neighborhood? And then just slowly, span out on a state level, however involved you want to get, but it all does start with yourself and looking in the mirror and saying, how can I help?
That's right. That's right. And that's what the common thread to even every guest that we've had to ever talk on this particular platform has been that they are those people, and amongst that people who are willing to say every day, what can I do? Right. Yeah. Whether it's Margot Bellamy asking about, how are the children every single day.
Yep.
And that's why we want her on our school board. And I'm so proud to have her support, and all the way down to Allie, who is a young leader of our community, who is a youth commissioner, who's the chair of the youth commissioner, but beyond that, just stepped into a role because they got the social media skills enough to help, and is not at all sewing any masks, but is helping connect the sewers to the need, right? And that's
absolutely.
That's
that is as important. That's as important to be able to be a connector, a problem solver, and
that's right.
And I think, as dark and scary as these times may seem, it on the other end is a plethora of opportunity to come out better, stronger, as a community, as a person, as a world as a whole.
Yes, absolutely. And so, Jen, I want to thank, and I'm going to repeat something I mentioned earlier. The Anchorage Together was the name of the page on Facebook. Jennifer Christensen, Lena, and Stephanie Claiborne, a couple of folks in the community who are putting together a plan really around supporting each other through kind of personal economic stimulus. And I think that's phenomenal. They represent part of the community that is doing different things, right? Like there's mask makers, and there's folks who are looking at connecting needs like just money and the ability to pay the bills. And there are other folks who, like Jasmin, are stepping up and bringing their resources to help people know how to navigate some of the business processes that are going on with the CARES Act and et cetera. Really good stuff in Anchorage, and it's inspiring. It's the reason that I'm thrilled to be a candidate for mayor, and I think that we're going to do some phenomenal things. I'm focused on using our platform. So for folks out in the community, if you have a question, you have a need during this time, as we're utilizing this platform to just keep people connected and sharing resources related to COVID-19 and its impact in Anchorage, then please feel free to reach out, connect with me, connect with Jen on our page. We're available, and I just thank you all for being with us. Jen, would you like to share any thoughts before we break out?
We're here. For those of you who feel alone and scared, there's people out here who care, and reach out, whether it's a neighbor or a friend or a complete stranger. We're here for you. There's people who are here, who have resources, who have knowledge. There's helpers, look to the helpers.
Absolutely.
And Anchorage is full of them. So.
Absolutely. And we're full of them because we're a leader-full city. Don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help. And on that note, I just thank everyone who reached out to me this week. Having lost a couple of friends who lived in New York, and the other friend was living in Asia. I recognize the impact that this moment is having at a personal level. I'm grateful that a lot of folks in Anchorage have thus far been able to be on the other side of that. But I also want to just thank people for the culture of caring for each other with the masks. Just the nature of the culture of caring for each other. Sometimes we're in positions where we can make a difference with ways that we can. Sometimes we're not able to do the biggest thing that we can imagine, and we just have to do what we can. But that's not a reason to not do, right? And it's not a reason to give up. It's the aggregate of all of us working together is what makes us stronger, right? And so lean into it with us. Lean into it by yourselves, wherever you are. But I do want to remind people it is time to vote. And you haven't told. I got my sticker on because I did. I'm pushing my wife on it to make sure that she gets to the drop box. She'll be out there tomorrow just dropping it in the boxes. You can do it on a Sunday. The box is open. But before we take off, I definitely want to pull that up, Jen, because this is all around the city. So these are the list of places you can drop the drop box at. You don't got to talk to anybody. You just got to drive past it. A lot of these are drive-through drop boxes. You just pull up, and the only contact you may have is with the mailbox type of latch. But for that, use a glove. And get your vote in the mail. There are important ballot initiatives on there this year, and I just thank you, Jen. I thank you. I thank you for being with us. Thank you for being for reaching out and for the compassion you bring to community. I thank Allie and everyone else, Jasmin, for joining us tonight. All of the other viewers. I encourage people to comment. I encourage people to have positive disposition, and let's engage in serious conversation. But most importantly, let's stay connected. It's the connections that keep us safe, healthy, and strong. Thank you, everybody. Till next time, Tell George Live. Bye-bye.